All right, guys, here we are. Tuesdays at 11 Central. Call them the weekly coaching sessions. Like a prop firm, when I created this package, this program, it was pretty much if you were hired by a prop firm, what would you learn? And that's where all the course comes from. These weekly meetings have given people a sense that there's no finish to good education. There's no start here, end here, good luck, goodbye, life is good. There has to be an open-ended relationship. So two things I do for elite guys is give them indefinite action or access to these events, and then access to each other to meet, to greet, to talk, to do whatever it is that they do. My mic is too hot. All right. Maybe I'm excited. How about now? Is that better? All right. Well, I got excited there. Sorry, Carol. Carol's done security for us for these Tuesday sessions, and people say, well, is he big and strong? No, he just bores you to death by talking to you. So if he wants to keep you out of the room, he just talks to you. So we want to thank him for all his help these years, keeping the riffraff out. But the whole point of these Tuesday sessions is to make sure that there is that open-ended relationship of content-driven stuff. Now, we always start in February. I usually don't do any in January and late December, right? So this is why we're beginning now. And every Tuesday out, since I started this program in January of 15, we are here Tuesdays at 11, except for January. Now, this is too important of a topic. Losers add to losers, not to cover a little bit about in our first session of the year. I've done other sessions about adding to losers, but it's become very clear to me, having talked to so many traders, both in person, on the phone, in emails, in coaching sessions, one-on-one, how relevant or how, not relevant, but how common adding to losers are. It's almost like a flaw in every single person. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. All right. And then that was Paul Tudor Jones that said losers add to losers. And smart guy, great trader. He actually gave orders to a guy who ran his bond futures trades to the person I always talk about, Scott, who taught me how to understand, taught us how to understand economic events and numbers and trading. So now there's the connection there. In fact, now we're going to reach out to that Scott. It's been a long time since I talked. He'd be a great guy to have on here, and I want to get to that in a moment. You don't have to be smart. You just can't be dumb. That's my quote. You don't have to be smart. You just can't be dumb. All right. So let's move on to what we are going to cover in today's session. Today's session's a little different than the next sessions going forward, because I just want to give people a sense of what to expect, not only from past coaching sessions that you elite guys have access to, but going forward. What are some expectations that you should have? First of all, you should have an idea of what we're going to do. Again, this year, maybe even a little different than last year. Last year, I didn't do many trader interviews, meaning guys in the edge group. I want to do a few more of those and sprinkle those throughout the year. So trader interviews, meaning guys that are in the edge community, just have a Q&A session. So you guys could put voices to names and stuff like that. So trader interviews. You know that we do these guest appearances from Steenbarger to Andrew Menaker to Brad Jelnick, Brett Nord. We're going to have a couple other guys that are more leaders in the industry and credible, or they wouldn't be on here. And so that's maybe a Kepler if you guys want. And I'm always open to suggestions. I think that we pretty much had everybody on that people wanted to, but if there's always someone you think I know that I could have on, I'm happy to get that person on for not all, obviously, but some of these Tuesday sessions. We have, I think, on March the 10th, Steenbarger coming back to do an event for us to do one of these Tuesday sessions. So we'll have that as part of these Tuesday classes. The other thing is, and that's me spelling guest, by the way. The other thing is, as you guys know, content. When I put this program together in 2014, I got to tell you this. I got to run you through this story because it's important. I didn't just take everything I knew, organized it, made some videos, created a PDF, and threw it out there. We did 2 live seminars in 2013, one in the spring, one in the fall. Carl's, in fact, was one of the guys. There's still a handful of guys still around from those events. If you remember, there was a Word document with videos in it that I gave people as part of coming to the live event. And some of the guys said that was worth the price of admission, just that 10-page Word document with videos I'd put in it. Because you would read a chapter, watch a video, read a chapter, watch a video. So including in that, once a month we met throughout 13 and early 14. And in those meetings, the only people that were there were the people who actually took the time to come to a live seminar. And so I picked their brains and asked them questions and found ways to understand some common pain points. And that's how the Whole Edge program came about. From that 10-page Word document and the reaction I had from that, then the feedback I had from people who were serious, where they were failing, where they looked at that document and thought, this was great, this was maybe missing, and I backfilled it. Well, how do you backfill something when you roll it out? You don't try to be perfect. Dave, you remember when you and I were working with the team room, we said we do this or that. We just let it go, let it flow, and then make adjustments as you go along. So the Edge program that I put together through most of 14 was, I don't want to try to be perfect out of the gate. So a big way, and this is, I think, good for any business, was to create the ability, the open door to adjust, because that's what trading actually is all about, adjusting, right? So it came out with 1, 2, 3 tracks, we used to call them. And the 3 tracks are now the same thing as, we just call them courses on the Edge Trading Group website. And I actually give this content to trading room guys. These 2 first ones are easy, and the third one's a little bit better. But then what we did was every Tuesday we did these coaching sessions. And that was track 4, and the bulk of what became added content, adjusting to what's missing, going through things that, you'd be crazy to try to add it into the first rollout of it. So it's just updates, I guess, is the way you could put it onto apps, right? iPhone 1, 2, 3, they didn't try to put iPhone 10 and iPhone 1. But number 4 is still course 4 on the Edge website. And that it had so many videos that over a year ago we went to a new website, and the website has a theme that is for a product like this, or the way it's laid out, titles, you could check off what videos you watched and things like that. And so it became such a long list of videos that in October, I think, or November of 18, I rearranged them, put them under titles, put them in some sort of sequence where I'd want you to watch them, not just dates. So you heard dates in those videos, but that's less relevant than it is in the sequence that you'd watch it. And I'm going through this so everybody has a sense of how, after 5 years now, we're still doing this. This is the 5th year. January of 15 is when I started doing these coaching sessions. It's January of 2020. So I'll do the math. It's 5 years. So those course, or Edge track 4, course 4, whatever you want to call it, became so long, we arranged them and organized them, and that's what course 4 is. Now, since 2019, we've got a whole bunch of videos there that you guys could see on the weekly coaching sessions that you should have access to. Those I got to take and I'll dump them into the categories that they belong to, and then we'll dump these 2020 videos as we go. Point is this allows, in this particular business, the ability to adjust, to adapt, to fill holes, to bring people in, keep people together, keep people from thinking that there's a start and a finish, because there's not, and there won't be. And you guys know that. Most people don't. Most people would get scared away when they realize, you mean when I take all these classes and watch all these videos that I'm going to get my degree and become an engineer and become a doctor and become a lawyer? Yeah, if you want to become an engineer, doctor, or a lawyer, but not trading. And that's what's hard. And you could take all the certification. It doesn't guarantee you a living or a license. So that's the expectations. Trader interviews that we're going to do, not a lot, but a handful over the course of the year. Guest hosts, probably half a dozen, maybe more, especially guys like Brad and Brad. I mean, these guys are not only great, just ridiculously awesome traders, but they articulate well, and that's the combination that makes a useful guy useful. And I've said this before, it's, any value to something is the fact that they could trade, the fact that we could trade, and the fact that we could articulate it is where the value is. The value is not that we could trade, not that we could articulate, but that we could do both. How many times have I said there are great traders out there? If you ask them what they did, you'd think they were a damn plumber. They're condescending, or they don't have a personality. They get out of bed and make $5,000, but it doesn't matter because they can't help you. Then there are guys that, and you guys know this more than I do, sound like great traders until you guys learn what the real industry speak is. But when you're newer, these guys sound like they know what they're talking about, but they can't trade their way out of a paper bag, nor have they ever. And those are guys like Brad and Brent. But anyhow, the other thing is the content, right? And people ask me, you got so much content and it's so lively, it's so fresh. How do you get it? And I thought it was important for me to share how I come up with it, because it's not off the cuff. It is, but it's also not super structured either. So I don't put an outline together and say, on this date, I'm going to do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. That would be too structured in a business that shouldn't be. But what I do to create a framework of good discussion is with the trading room, I'm always writing in my notebook. I have one, what do they call those notebooks that you flip this way? There's a prize for the guy who gets it. Not the ones that you flip this way, the ones you flip upside down or from top to bottom. Steno book. Yeah, you guys had a chance at a prize. You missed it. I say that because every day I put the date up here. I put some information about, the levels and notes, drivers, but I leave open at the bottom comments that I might have had in the room that people reacted to. A 3-line, 4-minute topic that a few people liked. I'll write it down, put an asterisk next to it. Someone in the room says something. I put an asterisk, I write it down. So I go through this notebook, and all the asterisks I know are potential topics for these sessions. And how could you get more relevant and on point than that? To the people that actually are going to be coming to these events, either people like you or you, and the comments and the reaction that you get from the stuff that goes on in the room. So that's where the content comes from, basically, and where pretty much it always has come from. So I have a whole whiteboard behind me with 30 different topics that I could talk about. But again, I don't put them on 1 through 30 and go through them in that order. We go through them as they're relevant. And this being the first one, and one that's hit me over the last, 6 to 8 weeks, it's important to talk about adding the losers. It's too big of a pain point not to talk about this again and again and again. Too big of a pain point. It's the drug addict, the alcoholic, that you never are cured. I talk a lot about drinking, and someone asked, hey, are you an alcoholic? You talk a lot about it. I won't tell anybody. And I can be honest with you, no, I'm not. But I grew up with 3 guys, his father and then his 2 sons. And I've seen growing up how it's all morphed together. So I use it for that, and I use it because you hear from them that they're never cured of it, or they always are an alcoholic, right? That's one thing you always hear about. Guess what? As humans, you're always an adder. Always. You're always an adder. Don't ever think that you're cured from it. You're only cured from it when you're dead. So remember that. The next thing is, I want to touch on today, is when did you really start? A lot of people have this notion, this misconception that they started when they started. because, when I started, it's when I started, because I started in a professional environment where all professional traders were in a pit on a floor. There was no disputing that. When I started trading electronically, I started in a venue where professional day traders traded from. There was no disputing that. Where most everybody started in this room, in this environment, was not in a professional venue. You started maybe with some YouTube videos or some books 20 years ago, or some blogs, or some headline came about World Health Organization reporting 27 cases person to person spread of coronavirus documented in 9 countries outside of China. That's why you're getting this little price, this flip flop here. I think it's net going to get shrugged off. But that aside, you didn't start when you probably think you started. And that should make you feel better, because I started when I started, because like I said, I knew I was in a professional arena, learning the right stuff, the first way, not the last way, the third way, the eighth way. You guys had to go through growing pains, learning stuff that didn't matter, but you didn't know that, and it's not your fault. Buying red light, green light stuff that didn't matter, but it's not your fault. You didn't truly start then, so don't think you did. You didn't truly start then, so don't think you did. And I think that's important for people to know. The other thing today is, what does it mean to smooth out your trading? This is another reason why I'm doing these one-on-one coaching sessions since the summer. I don't do a lot of them because I want to really like doing them. So far I have, and I've really got to know some guys at a level I could have never known them, and vice versa. And so these one-on-one sessions I've done since I think in June. This just came up. This wasn't going to be part of today's bullet point, one of the bullet points, but it came up in a conversation I had with someone yesterday. How much this guy has smoothed out his trading. What do I mean by that? He said, and I go, every time someone starts their trading, they're probably like a funnel. Okay? And you got all these ideas, you got all these Lego pieces spilt out all over the floor, and your trading is all over the place. Sometimes you're taking momentum trades, sometimes you're fading, sometimes you're adding, sometimes you're trading profile, sometimes it's just all over, right? Sometimes you don't know what the hell you're doing. Sometimes you're buying and selling, right? You're all over the place. But at some point, if you're actually progressing, you begin to narrow and smooth out what you are trying to do. So when I started with this guy, he was not at the mouth of the funnel, but he was somewhere in here where he didn't really know what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it. And now he can articulate, and there's that, it has nothing to do with P&L. It's just that smooth, almost like your pulse, and you don't want your pulse too volatile, and you don't want it flatlined, but you want it in a range. And that's a smooth line. Again, this has nothing to do with P&L or price. This has to do with this sideways funnel, if you think about it that way. And so you guys could think about that. And the reason why I'm saying it now is because, are you in the mouth of the funnel, or can you articulate something down towards the neck? Are you all over the place where you're doing that, and then you're doing this, and then you're doing that, and then you're doing you don't know what? Or could you articulate it where you're really just smoothing out your trading? Because this is where your process is, and to know that you're staying to a process, to a strategy, to a setup, then you could worry about results. But if you're in here, if you're anywhere in here, again, you're like a bunch of Legos in a bucket that I just spill out over the room. Go put something together. That's pretty stressful, right? If I had a bucket of Lego pieces and a lot of them were separated by color or by project, whatever, and they were dumped out, well, now you got some organization, right? Think of a puzzle, same thing. First thing you do when you open up a box and a puzzle, you turn all the pieces up, right? Find the corners, I guess. It's been a long time since I put a puzzle together. But I think that trading is about, without knowing it, that's what we're doing all day. I'm putting a puzzle together, and I'm doing it with you guys. So if you take your puzzle and all you do is try to put it together and some pieces are upside down, that's being in the mouth of the funnel. Sometimes you are in the neck and you move back to the funnel. Okay. Why? Because you started adding. And why did you start adding? Because, well, let's go to the next slide. Oh, and I'll touch on this at the end. Goals for you guys. And there's just one of them. And we'll get to that in a second. All right. So this vertical line, not vertical, horizontal line, is for me to just kind of stay on point of what I want to kind of draw. When you started, and I already did the funnel drawing, and how you're all over the place with your articulation and strategy, moving towards some semblance of adding, all becomes part of this. I don't care when you started, you were all over the place, even if you were learning stuff, up and down P&L wise. Usually your P&L would probably look like this. Sideways to lower, staying below zero the whole time. And then you were introduced at some point in this equation, might have been in here, might have been right there, adding. That's going to be in the progression of everybody's trading. I put it towards the end because sometimes it doesn't hit someone towards the end. Sometimes it's at the beginning, but it's always there. Always there. And so the whole thing is, all of it creates, when you start getting a little bit better, is when you start missing trades. You think that's at the beginning. It's not. You don't know you missed something good until you actually start to read the market, and then you understand, I missed that good one, and I was reading it real. I didn't miss that good one in hindsight. I missed that good one because I was going through some sort of progression, whether you realized it or not, and you could have got long, you read it, and you didn't, and you missed a winner. And then because you miss a winner, you might take a loser. That's a whole nother story. But when you're missing trades that you actually are seeing in real time, you're actually a little further along than you think. But then you fall back into no review. This is generally most people's story in a general sense. They start, they're all over the place. They're up and down, not just in P&L, but education and whatever. They're adding. It's always part of the mix. They're always missing stuff. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Missing winners, taking losers. And usually they make the mistake of saying the solution is, I got to figure out what's in between my ears, meaning your brain. Nope. You got to still figure out what the hell you're doing. Then it's in between your ears. That's true. It is in between your ears, and it is about you, but it's more importantly about, first of all, knowing what you're doing. Now, you guys are at that point. You know the tools that you have to get better. I'm going through this because it's really important to stay focused on the weaknesses that everybody has, no matter if you haven't done it in a while or you did it today. And by the way, when you have your, and I'm going to use some words sometimes that shouldn't offend anybody by now because I keep it pretty clean for the most part. But when you have your shittiest days, think about it. It's when the market generally is busier, trades more prices. That's when you're going to add the losers. That's when you're going to add the losers. And when people ask me or think, there's two reasons why you add the losers. One, because you're human, okay? So don't feel too bad. Humans hate being wrong and we love being right. Remember in third grade, when you knew the answer, you raised your hand, fidgeted around in your seat because you had a chance to tell the whole world that you were right. And in third grade, your whole world is your classroom. That's your whole world. That's why you get so excited to know the answer. We love being right. and therefore we hate being wrong. Well, adding means that you took one little stupid trade, and it happened to go against you. You bought more, went against you, bought more, started going your way, went against you, bought more. And it's like, wait a second. On a tight range day, 5 points in the E-minis, you get away with this. That's why you do it. It's the downtrend volatile, uptrend volatile day that doesn't come back blows your account up or gives back 2 or 3 months of good profit. So you're human is why you do it, and we hate being wrong. And all it takes is one little trade, one stupid trade, just like for guys who drink alcohol. One little drink, maybe the smell of a drink. And the second reason that adders do it is because they get away with it. Maybe 9 out of 10 times they get away with it. That one time blows out everything they got away with and then some, but the 9 times keep them doing it the 10th time. And by getting away with it, I mean you buy it here, that's against you. Buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more. It came back and you may actually made a little money on it. You dealt with all this emotion, all this pain, all this anguish, all this stress. But guess what? You didn't lose any money. You were down 10 grand on paper, but you finished up $150 and dealt with all this. You get away with it. So why do we do it? Because we're human and we hate being wrong. And number 2, because we get away with it a lot until we don't. You get away with it a lot until you don't. So when you make money on it, they're little paper cuts. When you lose money on it, it's a bat to your head. Doesn't kill you. I was going to say shoot you in the head, but that'd kill you. It's a bat to the head. You're still alive, but that hurts a lot more than a paper cut. So even when you make money by adding, it's a paper cut. When you lose money by adding, it's a bat to your head. So the times you get away with it and make a little money, it's not even close to being worth it. But you know that, and I know that. But you're going to do it again. You're more apt to do it again if you don't work on it with this. If you don't work on it, you're not going to be able not to drink again. It's going to happen. And it might happen a little bit where you just added once or twice, but it's going to happen. All right. So let me go to, I think, the most important slide of this session. And this session was not to bring in a lot of technique or talk order flow or correlation. This was to talk about adding and why we do it, obviously what to expect from these sessions. Because, and I said it today, that the trading yourself is harder than trading price. Trading yourself is harder than trading price. And I think at this point, because you guys are here, because you got the right education with this stuff, so you got the right tools to value price. And so you guys are more in a position to work on what's in between your ears. And that is yourself. Trading yourself is harder than trading price. Think about that for a second. Trading yourself is harder than trading price. That's why you add. That's why you do dumb things. That's why you let fear make decisions and not confidence. That's why when you think you're confident, you're really fearful. When you think you're fearful, you're really kind of confident. And you have no idea how to read yourself. And yet you're trying to read price. Help yourself. And it's hard to do it on your own. That's why in a prop environment, I want you guys to start thinking, when I say prop firm, I want you to think the word accountability. So a prop firm equals accountability. And what usually is the accountability? I'm not going to spell this out. Accountability. Who usually is the guy in most businesses that are accountability guys? A boss, right? So you have a boss, and the reason why there has to be a chain of command in any organization is because it's a tool, and it's a useful tool, but it has to be respected and used. Fire departments, police departments, churches, businesses, chain of command, have to have it, have to use it. You can't have a clerk who just started 6 months ago able to have a meeting with the CEO. Can't do it. Chain of command. when the shit's hitting the fan on a 5-alarm fire, someone's got to be in control. Someone's got to be calling the shots, right? Well, in trading, hopefully the voice of calm and the objectiveness that you might hear in the room or the team room or both is, that control. But I can't also tell you to go to the 4th floor, you go to the 3rd floor. I want you guys to stay down in here and set up a triage here. We're doing that in a sense, but there's not great detail. You have to have that accountability within yourself. You want to be privy to everything that's going on and have someone in control so you're listening to them. But even if the chief, even if me running the room says, go to the 5th floor, Bruce goes to the 5th floor, I can't grab the hose and do Bruce's job once he's on the 5th floor. Right? He's going to have to do the job once he's up there. And that's what's important, chain of command. And when you start in this business, you have no boss, you have no accountability, and the weaknesses of path of least resistance, the human weakness is the path of least resistance. And it's just the path that you're going to pick. This is the path that's a bad path, and this is the right path. You're more apt to find this path first. It's wider, it's bigger. No accountability. You got nobody telling you, hey, you're in the wrong path. Get on the other side, buddy. Let me go to the next slide. I'm going to read this together. When a prop firm didn't motivate you, they just took the chocolate cake off the table. There isn't time to waste waiting for you to get your ass disciplined. There's no time to waste for that. They weren't going to tease you with chocolate cake and say, okay, you got to go on a diet. Someone ate the cake. Hey, you guys got to work out every day. Hey, who worked out? Is he in the prop firm? They didn't say on Friday. Hey, anybody work? You only worked out 2 days, Johnny? That's too bad. Did you sweat though? At least? Oh, good job, man. Good job, Johnny. Oh, yeah, a little cake. Yeah, that's all right. No, there was no chocolate cake. So you either are disciplined or you're not, but there was no, like, you didn't work out. That's okay. You missed 2 days. That's fine. Yeah, a little cake. That's okay. Don't worry about it. No, they didn't have time waiting around for your ass to get disciplined. Didn't have time. They fired you. Now, you think your weaknesses are tools or strategy. I need a better tool. I need a better strategy. Or someone else. It's not. It's your discipline or lack thereof. You guys got the right tools now. Now, I'm not saying if you didn't meet me, you didn't have the right tools. If you didn't meet me or someone like me, there's other people like me that teach the right stuff. But most aren't, and you guys could attest to that. So once you found someone like me, you've got the tools and the strategies to build and have. You don't need someone else. You need better discipline. Remember what I talked about briefly? The whole notion of you could not do what you say, but your ass better not do the opposite. There's a difference. If you told me, and here's the analogy, if you heard it before, I apologize, you're going to hear it again. If the analogy is you're going to get fit this year, which means you're going to work out 5 days a week and you're not going to eat chocolate cake or anything after 8 p.m. Well, you didn't do what you say you were going to do. You didn't work out 4 of those days. But you know what? You also didn't eat after 8. You didn't eat sweets. So you didn't say what you were going to do, but at least you didn't do the opposite. For the guy that didn't work out and he ate cake, and he ate at 9 and 10 and got up at 2 and ate some more, not only didn't he not do what he said he was going to do, he says the damn opposite. How bad is that? And the reason why people do it is because you don't put on 20 pounds in a night or in a week. You do it gradually. And why is it hard to get the weight off? Because you don't lose weight in a day or a week. You work out 20 days, and on the 21st day, you see a little change. And it wasn't because that 21st day you did a better exercise. It's the accumulation of 20 days that finally made it noticeable. You needed all those 20 days. So the 21st day, you were able to see a change. So this whole notion of, that one big trade that's going to put you on the right path to give you the discipline ain't going to happen. It's just that accumulation of doing good things. Hey, every time you break a rule, it has to be a law. If you have a rule, you're going to break it. I break rules all the time. I drive 35 and a 30. But I don't hit a guy riding on his bike because I know I'm going to jail. I don't run him over. There's a difference. Know your rules and know your laws, because you're going to have rules and you're going to break them. But if you have a law, you go to jail. It's the only thing that gets people, for the most part, to stand in line, keep them in line. And even then people break those laws, right? But for the most part, to have a normal, safe society, you got to throw people in jail. You got to take away their freedom. No amount of money is going to do it. Take away their freedom. So how do you take away your freedom? You got to have laws, and think of it that way, not trading rules. Trading rules are meant to be broken. Trading laws shouldn't. But your discipline is what you need, not more tools and not more strategies. Discipline. And guess what the discipline could be? Practice, review, a buddy, a workout buddy. Well, let me go through this horizontal line here. Talk about adding. You talk about your size. Talk about the market you trade. Talk about taking big losers. Guess what? And then you talk about reviewing your trades, whether it's daily, weekly, every other day, whatever. Look at all these things. How many things? 5 things. 5 things here that dictate your discipline. Do you add? Do you trade bigger than the size you're supposed to trade? You trade in the appropriate market? Do you take huge losers? And do you review your trades? Because reviewing the trades is the same way as preparing. Recognition. You're reviewing to see if you recognize implementing the tools and the strategies that you have. These things right in here. You adding, trading bigger size, trading the right market, take big losers, and do your review. Guess what? This is the working out and the chocolate cake of getting fit. A prop firm doesn't make you more disciplined. They don't allow you to become undisciplined. They don't allow you to add or trade bigger size than you'd want to. Trade a market that isn't working, is versus your personality. Get you in the right market sooner rather than later. They don't let you take big losers, and they force your ass to review. You don't have a choice. You guys do. In a prop environment, they don't. So the one goal that I'm going to end this session with, that I talked about on the agenda page for you guys, one goal is to have a hell of a lot more accountability this year than in years past. Whatever that is. And I'm not going to babysit guys, but if that's doing a Skype with someone you met every day for an hour, half hour, make it efficient. Don't do a Skype with someone and then BS about the Iowa caucus and the fact that they can't get this done or that done. Get right to business. Have a workout buddy. Have an accountability buddy. That's a goal. If you didn't have it in years past, boy, you had no excuse but to have it in a prop firm. Again, it's a lot easier to be disciplined when there's no chocolate cake in the house and you've got a workout buddy that's saying, let's go. I don't feel like it might. Let's just get through it. Okay. You do it. You did it. Then you went home. Man, I can go for some cake. Well, there's no cake in the house. And there's no stores that sell cake within 5,000 miles. Guess what? No cake for you. That's what a prop firm did. Yeah, they taught you the right tools with the right, strategy building and everything else. But the way that they got you disciplined was they didn't allow you to become an adder, trade bigger size, trade the wrong market, take huge losers, and not review. You were not doing that. You were not doing that. Anybody who trade, you couldn't do it. Like you physically could not trade bigger size than you signed for. You couldn't. Well, you could if you double click sometimes, but then they would write you up that day. They had to give you a bigger size than you signed for in case you got double filled or something with orders in the book. But you got written up. So you weren't going to trade bigger size. You weren't going to add. You weren't going to be in a volatile market if you're kind of a reserved guy, or in a reserved market if you're a big personality. Your ass wasn't taking big losers in any one trade or one day. Wasn't going to happen. And then, what do you think? You were going to be done trading and leave at 11 o'clock? No. Now, we were able to do that early on because we had come from the floor. We knew how to trade, and we still would have mandatory meetings. But most days we were able to leave when we wanted to leave. And then as we went along, then we had more mandatory, you wanted to stick around. And then as we got into hiring people that didn't know anything about trading, it was a mandatory meeting every day. Class. We call it class. Got to go to class. And the classes were good, but they weren't great. And yet these guys were still doing really good. The classes weren't great because a couple of the guys teaching them were condescending assholes. They traded pretty good, but they didn't know how to communicate. And when they had decent people in there, the guys got more out of it and did a lot better. But even with condescending jerks, they still had, better than nothing, much better than just going on trying to figure it out yourself. So that's my goal for you guys. That's your goal, not mine, but my goal for you guys would be to have a workout buddy, a trading buddy, and there's no excuses not to find one. And you kind of might go through a couple. Maybe you don't like the guy, right? And so you want to get someone you like. But it's not ever going to hurt. It can only help. I can't see an instance where reviewing your trades are going to hurt you. And again, don't look at it as a lot of work because you're not supposed to spend hours reviewing necessarily. I know, hey, listen, on a good day, you're tired. On a bad day, the last thing you want to do is look at the bad day. But it's all within the realm of the hours you're going to put in front of the screen anyways. That's why it's called discipline. If it was easy to do, everybody would do it, including getting fit, staying fit, pulling money out of the market, staying on top of your game, getting successful, staying successful, being up for 2 months and keeping it, even if you have a bad day or two. Keeping the cushion. But everything rolls into 21st day, you see yourself in better shape, and it had nothing to do with what you did that 21st day. It had to do with the incremental progression in 20 days. It just happened to be the 21st day you seen that you looked better. Same thing with any diet, same thing with any kind of fitness program, and the same thing with your trading, just incremental steps. And I'll end it with this. Anytime you break your rule, your law, I guarantee you, even if you get away with it, a little piece of you goes away. You got to bring those pieces back. A little piece of you goes away every time you get away with breaking a rule. Even if, again, if you're driving and you don't like yelling at someone when you're driving and you do it, and the guy didn't see you, so you didn't really make him feel bad, a little piece of you went away. Every time you don't do what you say you're going to do, a little piece of you goes away. In trading or in life. So minimize. Hey, we're all going to do things opposite of what we say we're going to do, but how do you minimize the hell out of those instances? I could have the best motivator of all time talk to you guys. And unless there's some, discipline that's forced, then everything else becomes tougher to move, right? And like Ken Packard said, and he's, by the way, going to be back at some point in March, April. If you can't articulate it, it does not exist. So and let me clarify one thing. Prop firm does not mean go out, find one, and get hired by one. Not practical for anyone to do that. The point I bring is what a prop firm teaches you, but what they, by default, force you to do or not do. And they're the very most important parts of trading. They don't allow you to add. Trade bigger than you're supposed to. Trade a stupid market that you shouldn't be. Take huge, giant losers. And they force you to review, or else your ass is gone. And you want that. Everybody thinks that you want the carrot, but you want the stick. You want the stick at some point, right? The carrot and the stick. We all need the stick sometimes. I'll leave it there. Does anybody got questions? Like I said, every Tuesday at 11, we'll be here. And, oh, shoot, I forgot to record. No, I'm just joking.